This is a re-recording because I ended the video way too early. Or no, well, a little bit early.
This is the breakdown for the Layla Hassan years of Assassin's Creed. Layla Hassan is a former Abstergo employee turned hacker. I don't know if she's actually an assassin or just an allied assassin, but she works with William Miles, who is Desmond's dad. Anyway. She steals something from the Templars, which allows her to relive the memories of Bayek and Aya, two assassins who actually they founded the assassins during the Pot- Ptolemaic period. What years? Let me just look up what years these are. Uh, 300 BC. Uh, Around 300 BC. I don't remember much from Origins, if anything. Uh, yeah. Anyway, so next up is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where following from Origins, Layla relives the memories of either Alexios or Cassandra, depending on the player's choices. There's no difference between who you play as. So, and this is during the Peloponnesian War. I'm gonna just say Alexios the entire time because I played as Alexios during my playthrough. So, Alexios was abandoned by his family because he wasn't strong enough. Because this is his dad was a Spartan, and you know how Spartans were. If a 6-month-old baby couldn't lift a cow with his bare hands, they'd be executed for being weak. And that's what happened with Alexios. But he sort of kicked him off a cliff. This is Sparta style, but Alexios survived. And just grows up on his own. But despite that, he wants to reunite with his family. And he meets his dad, but doesn't tell his dad that it's his dad. His dad is a high-ranking official in the Spartan Empire or army, whatever. And it turns out that Alexios' dad had another child after Alexios' supposed death. Yeah. He is also working, he's also a Spartan soldier. And they're fighting together. Eventually, Alexios meets up with his mum. But he goes to investigate this cult. I think they call it the Cult with the Cosmos. And the cult was led by a person called Demos. And it turns out that Demos is led by Alexios' sister, Cassandra. Or for playing as Cassandra, Cassandra's brother, Alexios. Well, because I played as Alexios, I'm going to refer to Demos as Cassandra. So you work around trying to kill the members of the cult, which you can choose to kill Cassandra. I chose not to, and to have a family reunion. And technically that's the end, but there's a bunch of DLC and all. I'm not going to get into the first DLC, Legacy of the First Blade, because I don't remember much, but I will get in the second DLC, The Fates of Atlantis, which is about the fate of Atlantis, believe it or not. And you're in Atlantis, working with gods, including what I forget the name of Juno. Or well, Juno has a sort of cameo, which is no malintent towards Alexius. In fact, there's not even a she. So far, or she has nothing to do with Layla. So uh, eventually, what this all comes down to is that Alexios has to remain in this temple, which is where Layla set up the Animus, so that when Layla is ready, she can take this staff off of him, and that's what she does at the end of the game. But in December 2021, which was about 3 years and 3 months after the game's release, they decided, or 3 years and 2 months after the game's release, decided to put an update into the game where actually Alexios doesn't spend. When was the Peloponnesian War? Okay, 400 BC, roughly. Doesn't spend 2,400 years in this vault place. He actually took a holiday almost immediately. But it turns out on the island is treasure. And while he's looking for this treasure, he actually just runs into a god, and the god says that he needs to find all these artifacts. So that's what he decides to do. He finds all these artifacts. Although this wasn't written by the Odyssey team, this is written by the Valhalla team. So before I continue, I'm going to go into Valhalla. So you play as Eivor Varin's daughter during the Viking invasion of England, where your ruler, I want to say, is the leader of this Viking gang, for lack of a better word. And they go about conquering England. But eventually he gets kidnapped, and I actually didn't come to his rescue immediately. I waited a bit, basically until the very end. So rescue him, a bit pissed, and during that time, Eivor started banging his wife. So once all of England was conquered, they go back to Norway because they've discovered a place, and turns out there's an ancient animus in this place in Norway, and the animus it's a bit weird. So the animus takes Eivor, and okay, you can choose Eivor's gender. And the writing team were crap about this because on the cover art and in trailers for the game, no wait, I think just on the cover art for the game, I think because my copy of the game is digital, I didn't buy it physically, I just look up again on my PlayStation. As far as I know, for the cover art of the game, it shows male Eivor. Okay, yes, it does. I'm looking at it right now. But in the trailers for the game, it shows female Eivor. For most most of the stuff, trailers and images and all that shows female Eivor. I played as female Eivor because this time they give you the choice to play as male Eivor or female Eivor, and there's also a randomized button. And as far as I know, the randomized button actually isn't a randomized button. It will put you as a female, I think. But this time you actually have a choice to choose between them. And really the only difference is voice acting. Female Eivor's voice actor isn't really that good. It's like she, in real life, I haven't heard her speak in real life. Let me just look up what she's like in real life. So this is what Cecile's stepping still is like as female Eivor.
Figure. A grey beard in
That sound clip wasn't really that good, but it's sort of like I'm going to assume that her voice in real life is more feminine, I guess.
I looked it up after I actually ended the video, and yes, it is.
And she just tried to put like a sort of gravelly voice on it, but it didn't really work out. But I got used to it after playing the game for close to 200 hours.
I got used to it. What I mean is I started to enjoy it. Because her voice... You know what? Imagine that I'm the voice actor. So this is how I speak in real life, but as playing Eivor, like, I'm not going to try and do an accent, but also she is Swedish herself, or sort of that area. But whatever. So, like, this would be my natural speaking voice, but if I were voicing Eivor, or at least doing an impression of Cecile's Eivor, it'd be like, hey, I don't know what to say, but this is what it's like. Initially didn't like it. I switched over to the male Eivor, and the male Eivor's good, but I just like the female Eivor.
So my point is, I played as female Eivor, and so there is this animus. Eivor gets hooked in the animus, as does her assassin friend, and they end up in Valhalla, where the entire time Odin has been sort of talking to Eivor after each big kill. If you've ever seen Dexter, it's sort of like when his dark passenger talks to him. So eventually, it's peace because it's Valhalla. Like, I'm pretty sure Valhalla is Norse heaven. But I could be wrong on that. But it's peaceful. They have these big feasts, get drunk, go out and fight. But because it's heaven, they don't actually die. It's all the fun of war and none of the consequences, basically. But then eventually, something causes Eivor to hate Odin and fight, and eventually Eivor gets out. But the assassin, whose name I think his name is Bastian Ibn Ishak, he doesn't, and they leave. So Layla goes to the place in Norway with the animus, and the animus, plugs her in, and it releases Basim. So Layla goes to this unknown place. I don't know what exactly it is. I don't know if they described it. And she meets Desmond. After Desmond died, he was put in this place where he's sort of like the guy from Loki. Like, I'm not gonna say spoilers because you've had your chance to at the end of Loki, the guy, and he says that he wants to prevent these alternate timelines. Like, basically, Desmond sees the future and all the possible timelines, and he's trying to make sure that the perfect timeline happens, and Layla starts to help him. So, presumably, the next big IC game, the modern day protagonist will be Basim. So, I'll have to do a breakdown on the Basim years.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm still playing Among Us. So what I was supposed to say before accidentally ending the video, like I think, is that they decided to do a crossover with Valhalla and Odyssey. So I already talked about that treasure and how they rewrote the ending and all. Let me just look up what the cover art for Odyssey was like. I don't remember any of the trailers. I don't think I haven't seen any trailers. It's hard to tell, but I think it's a guy. Okay, yeah, it's definitely Alexios in the cover art. But you don't have a choice for the gender of, whether or not it's Cassandra or Alexios in the Valhalla crossover. I mentioned this in my reviews for both these crossovers, but I played as Alexios, but then it suddenly switched to Cassandra when you're playing Valhalla, which is weird. So, and the trailer shows female Eivor. So I was still female Eivor. That's fine. But then, after that, you have the trailer for Dawn of Ragnarok, and in that, I thought that you would have automatically played, because most of the time when you're in Svartalheim, because like the DLC is just a vision that Eivor has. You're playing as a man named Javi. And I thought that Javi was its own character, but no. Javi is actually Eivor, or at least same body, same voice actor as Eivor. I don't actually know. Based off the ending of Dawn of Ragnarok, I think that I think that Eivor is actually a reincarnation of Javi, but she just didn't know it until the end of the vision. I don't know why that sounds sad or whatever, but so in the trailer, it shows male Eivor. They went from female Eivor to male Eivor to female Eivor to male Eivor, and it's good that you have a choice. But still, what if you didn't? And what if they adapted the game? It'd be hard to do.